Hello, everyone. I'm John Benninger with Supply Side Network 365. Welcome to today's event, the HBCU Organic and Natural Health Scholarship Celebration. I am really excited about what we're doing here today. I first learned about the Williams Franklin Foundation back in January at the annual meeting of the Organic and Natural Health Association, and immediately I knew I was all in. And today, I'm hoping that you're going to share that same reaction. The mission of the Williams Franklin Foundation is to provide academic scholarships, business and career networking, and mentoring opportunities to students with extreme financial need at historically Black colleges and universities. Of course, we can have a very positive impact by supporting the Organic and Natural Scholarship Fund today and in the future so that the Williams Franklin Foundation can do even more of this great work. I also see, though, an important opportunity to build relationships with these exceptional students and with these exceptional higher learning institutions. As an industry, we've been talking about diversity and inclusion a lot, and we've been doing a lot, particularly over the past year, and we should be. We are a mission-driven industry that's committed to building a better world, to more health for more people, and to doing the right thing and having an impact. What I see today, an important and exciting step toward that future. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank the Williams Franklin Foundation for all that they do. I also want to thank the Organic and Natural Health Association for bringing this together. So let's get things started. Please welcome the CEO of the Organic and Natural Health Association, Karen Howard.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for all your support and your enthusiasm. And thank Informa for bringing us all together in this technical environment and being so supportive, and for being such a champion for what it is that we want to do when we move forward. I think by now, most of the the airwaves have heard that Organic and Natural Health is collaborating with the WFF to be able to raise $50,000 over 5 years to support educational expenses for students who attend historically Black colleges and universities through scholarships. And a piece of that we also want to add to that is how to be able to develop internships and other kinds of opportunities so that we can introduce our industry to these amazingly talented students. I want to thank Nordic Naturals, as we're doing thank yous right now, for their amazingly generous contribution. They're matching dollar for dollar, all donations up to $5,000 today. But before we get to the money part, I'm just thrilled to be able to introduce you to 3 past scholarship recipients: Amber Quinney, Virgil Parker, and Christina Casanova. So Amber, otherwise known as America's Scholarship Queen, is a competitive scholarship coach. She's leveraged her background in marketing with her nearly 10 years of experience in the scholarship market to create a coaching business that teaches students across the US what it takes to win scholarships. She's a TEDx speaker and the executive assistant at Say Yes to Education Buffalo, where she supports senior executives in their effort to raise $100 million for an endowment campaign. She's the first ever Williams Franklin Foundation scholar. She loves volunteering at WFF, and she's paying it forward every single day, including today. Virgil's a senior at Howard University, majoring in journalism with a minor in Afro-American studies. He's been a mentor with the Collegiate 100 of Howard University, which partners with the 100 Black Men of Greater Washington, D.C. to mentor young Black men in the D.C. area. He's served as a William Randolph Hearst Fellow at the Aspen Institute and a Next Gen Scholar at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. He's interested in exploring how philanthropy can promote racial equity in the US and around the globe. I'll also say he's just been named as a Fulbright Scholar. Christina is a graduating senior at Howard University, majoring in nutritional science with a minor in chemistry, and is on the pre-med track. She's consistently made the dean lists every single semester since her freshman year. She's a member of Epsilon Tau Sigma Honor Society, of the Professions Society, and she has also served as president of the Ladies of Quad Social Club. After graduation, she intends to go to medical school and specialize in pediatric medicine. So thank you guys so much for being with us. First, you, Amber, our scholarship queen, trademarked as it is. You're really probably the person who is the expert in scholarship opportunities for students at HBCUs. What do you want our industry to know about students who attend HBCUs?
So going to an HBCU is such a special experience. And I would say that students who go to HBCUs have a unique advantage, being culturally and academically immersed in a history and a learning environment like a Howard, a Spelman, a Hampton. It really diversifies, I would say, the spectrum of your talent, your intelligence, and the competitive advantage that you bring into the global marketplace. And so for me, going to an HBCU is where I learned firsthand what diversity feels like. Like often people think that diversity is this or that, or black or white. And the truth is diversity is deeper than black and white. Diversity has dimensions, and there's a depth of diversity that you experience when you get to attend a HBCU, because the impact collectively of the African diaspora is just so wide and is so rich. So that said, I will offer to the industry that students attending HBCUs are not just diverse, but they are difference makers. We are difference makers. The Vice President of the United States, she isn't just the first woman or the first Black person to hold the office. She's an HBCU grad, Howard to be exact. And so I think that speaks to the measure of excellence and brilliance coming out of HBCUs.
That's a brilliant articulation of that. So you, as the first scholarship recipient of the foundation, and one that you're still very engaged in, talk about how the foundation has personally helped you and what you actually think of it as an organization, so that our viewers can get a better feel for the foundation.
I think the world of this foundation. They have my heart and they know that. And being selected as the first scholar, it's one of my favorite memories of my life. And I'll just say, no one is paying me to say that. I mean that, and I get nothing from this except the blessing of being a part of this story. So the foundation, I know we'll get into this more in conversation, Karen, later, but just briefly, the conversation or the foundation has really helped me in more ways than I can count. Like I think about all the steps in my story since the day we met, and that was January 28, 2015. So I think about when I transferred from a historically Black university to a predominantly white institution and all the emotions that come with that. They were there with me. I think about when I auditioned for TEDx and I got to do a TED Talk on the famous red carpet. They were cheering me on from my phone. I think about when I graduated and I said, I don't want a job, I want to build a business. They were there encouraging me. And when I got my first job, they're there with me. And so they've been with me through the highs, the lows, the achievements, and the adversities. And, I would say the co-founders here, as well as the entire board, really have a keen understanding of how to address the needs of HBCU students, and then also how to support them through college and life beyond, personally and professionally.
What a beautiful articulation of family. Thank you for that. Now, Christina, I don't know how anyone makes the dean's list every semester, much less do it as a pre-med student. It's incredibly impressive. And you've decided you want to go into pediatrics. Can you tell us what drew you into that?
Yes, so I really enjoy working with kids, and I always have, no matter what aspect. In high school, I did a lot of volunteering and just like helping my cousins with homework. And I just always had a nice, like an attachment to children. So I decided I wanted to go into pediatrics because that would allow me to continue like helping kids, but in an aspect of health instead of like education. And I would say just what I've just been around, I just think adolescence is where you get the most developmental growth. So aiding a child with that would help them with their health in the future.
That's such a commitment, a long range commitment. Most people think of pediatrics and they think of babies.
Yeah.
Because that's really the first step in that, right? So you chose an interesting emphasis. You chose nutritional science, which of course has us all very interested. Mm-hmm. So what in the world of all the ways you could have prepped for med school encouraged you to go through nutritional science?
So in high school, I took an anatomy and physiology course with a few of my friends, and my friend Caprice at the time, she had mentioned how she wanted to go into pediatrics when she went to college and medical school. And I had asked her like what her major was going to be, and she actually mentioned nutritional science. And prior to that, I was thinking of sports med because I like hands-on majors, and I felt biology wouldn't have as much interest for me. But when my friend mentioned nutritional science, I decided to see if Howard had a similar program, and they did. And then doing more research, I realized how more in-depth nutrition can go, and it's not just about, oh, eat your vegetables today and you'll be fine. So it just piqued my interest, and I saw like, I might as well take a chance with it, and anything I could always switch my major to something else, even if it was biology. So that's why I chose nutrition.
That's really incredible because, you know, medical schools are notorious for offering very little, if any, nutritional science in the curriculum. It's been something that we've talked about in our industry for many, many years. So how do you see yourself incorporating that study into your work with children and their families?
I will say I do agree. Medical schools do lack that nutritional aspect, even though it's about 1/4 or 1/3 of your learning. And I plan to incorporate it into my studies once I matriculate to medical school by applying all the different aspects of different classes I took. As I stated, it's very hands-on. So our upper divisional levels, we do more case studies or clinical aspects to actually like what it would be like working with a patient who's diabetic or with hypertension, and like what you would do to treat them. So there's a lot of different nutritional interventions. So you're really kind of learning what you're going to do in med school already. So I think it's giving me preparations for what I can assume will be, or just giving me that introduction to it. And I feel like I have a different aspect given that all my classes weren't just biology. So I think it's going to aid me when I do start medical school.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, as an advocate in the natural health industry, I don't advocate for cloning, except in this case. I think it would be really beneficial if we had many, many more of you who are approaching medicine that way. And I applaud you for all of your efforts, especially in your creative use of what you want to do with your teaching. You're going to be an amazing practitioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Virgil, speaking of nutrition, you have become a vegetarian at this point in your young life. Can you kind of give us a story about how you got to that part of your journey?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. And like Amber and Christina said, thank you to the Williams Franklin Foundation for bringing us together. I'm really proud to be a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian since January of 2020, and I was following in the footsteps of my mother, luckily enough. She did research on the appropriate health habits and nutritional habits that people should take, and realizing that getting rid of meat can help with hypertension, can help with diabetes, cholesterol, a few of the things that Christina named. I wanted to walk along that path. You know, unfortunately, those are disorders that plague the African American communities, you know, especially men. And I said, let's defy the stereotype by leading by example. And I realized that there are so many great alternative plant-based options for people to consume, and they're better for you as a human being. So I wanted to follow that journey.
That's remarkable. You too could have gone to medical school, given that you have the same sort of philosophy as Christina. Instead, though, your interest is really in racial equity. So yes. I know that this is kind of like, you know, new in terms of your interests, which are incredibly diverse, but I'm curious to hear your impressions about what you've learned in these past few weeks about the industry and how you envision racial equity working in an industry like ours, or have you had what do you think?
No, absolutely, because food and health is so important. And we realized that given the coronavirus pandemic, coronavirus taught about how there's a lack of access to water, how there are food deserts that are plaguing Black and brown communities, how, you know, people aren't getting access to the nutrition that we need. So it's partnerships like the Williams Franklin Foundation formed with your organization, Organic and Natural Health, that we need to amplify this conversation on how to create health equity. And that is about promoting philanthropic and social responsibility, utilizing those tools to promote racial equity. So I 100% agree with it. And this is just one industry of many where we need to explore how we create appropriate opportunities for men and women of color. So I'm happy to continue exploring those opportunities as I advance my research as a professional.
I think you just made the case for why we're all here in this situation. Like this is, if there is ever a cause for being able to bring our industry to students like you and your colleagues at the schools that you go to, I can't imagine it being better articulated.
Thank you, Ms. Karen.
It's, it's kind of overwhelming. I'm feeling like I kind of was a deadbeat in college after listening to the three of you. I'm not to judge my own two children. But I am so grateful for your presence. I'm so grateful for the foundation. And I want to ask each of you, and let's start with you, Amber, as the scholarship queen, you're the expert here. So why the Williams Franklin Foundation? Why do you want this group of people that you're talking to chime in and offer up money?
Yeah, I would kind of echo some thoughts from earlier. I think that HBCU students are really uniquely equipped to solve the problems of the world. I mean, environmental disasters, climate change, sustainability, diversity and inclusion. Like, these are tomorrow's leaders who are being trained today. And I think about this idea of I can't be what I don't see. Like, representation matters. And so when you think about, I think about the STEM community. The STEM community has embraced creating initiatives, scholarship opportunities, paid internships, fellowships for young people, especially those from minority communities, to be able to have access to even thinking about those sort of careers. So when you offer scholarship opportunities, it really is a door open. It really is an invitation. And I think it sends a message, an industry-wide message that says, hey, there's room for you. Hey, we have a seat here. And, lastly, I would just echo what Mrs. Franklin always says, if we all do a little, no one would have to do a lot. So if all of us here, all the companies who showed up today, if we all did a little, no one would have to do a lot. I think that speaks volumes to just what we can do when we are all accountable to initiatives and creating opportunity.
Hear, hear. Christina, tell me how important the scholarship has been for your college experience.
So for me, I would say that the Williams Franklin Foundation Scholarship has really helped me, because going into college, I had a plan to get a scholarship, get a full ride so I could graduate debt free. And that wasn't necessarily the case that I got one directly from Howard, but in high school, I applied to a lot of scholarships, and I'm like, I'm going to just hope for the best. And ultimately, it aided me being able to cover a majority of my tuition, but applying for this scholarship specifically helped me to make sure that I actually will be graduating debt free, which is very important to me because going to med school is also going to be very expensive. So being able to graduate from college is already good for me.
That's beautiful. And I can greatly appreciate that. And I'm delighted that we're in a situation where we might be able to help additional students when that happens. You're on a great path, young lady. And Virgil, you have a list of of awards up and down your sleeve. So what has WFF really meant to your education goals? Has that played a role in how successful you've been?
It's played a significant role, and I almost got emotional listening to Christina and Amber. Truthfully, when I got to Howard University in 2015, and I don't mind being vulnerable and transparent here, I was a young, poor Black kid from a small city. I didn't see much leadership within my city. I didn't see much opportunity. It was my dream to attend a historically Black college, and it was my dream to attend Howard. And I knew it was going to be costly. I knew it was going to be too expensive. My mother warned me, my family warned me, but I knew I wanted to attend. It was meeting Mr. and Mrs. Franklin, who are HBCU graduates who lived up to our university's model of excellence and truth of service. They created a successful path. They formed this foundation, and they were reaching back to help young kids like me who needed support getting through this institution. And it's because of them that I'm about to graduate this year. And it was because of their leadership and guidance that I got every other opportunity nearly afforded to me. And it's because of them that I'm hoping to afford and make a social impact through philanthropy to kids and young individuals who follow in my path. Their effort means everything, and their story is inspiration. And like Amber said, if we all do a little, we can take care of each other, and they are living that example. So I'm forever grateful to this foundation and the work that it does. So thank you.
People haven't opened up their wallets yet. They don't have heart. So I just, I want to say, I'm so grateful that you three have shared your stories with us. And to Dwight and Lachelle, I have spent my entire life in leadership roles and my dream was to be the first female speaker at the House of Representatives. I have never witnessed leadership like this, so transparent and honest and true. And if this is just a sampling of what we're able to do by supporting the foundation, I can't imagine a better cause. So on that, I would like to introduce you to the founders of the foundation, and we're going to do that through a brief video. No multitasking. Very quickly, you'll see where the power and heart comes from in this organization.
The story of the Williams Franklin Foundation began on the campus of Howard University in the early 1990s. I am Lachelle Williams Franklin, co-founder of the Williams Franklin Foundation, and once an undergraduate student at Howard University. I was struggling financially, not only with keeping up with my living expenses, but I knew that my debt at Howard University was continuing to grow. But instead of dropping out, I decided to reach out to my community, which included Congressman Louis Stokes. He answered the call by saying, as long as I promised to complete my college education, he would make sure that everything was paid for in full. It not only changed the trajectory for my life, and in fact changed the trajectory for my entire family.
We got a 501c3. We started putting together processes and procedures. We ended up getting a board. We decided to create an online application process for students to apply for scholarships. For the 2018-2019 school year, we had 102 applicants, representing 17 different HBCUs from 11 different countries and 19 different states a year.
The mission of the Williams Franklin Foundation is to award academic scholarships to deserving students who have a desire to attend an HBCU, host career, leadership, and professional development programs, provide mentors, internship opportunities, and job placement for award recipients, expose the talent that is being produced on the campuses of HBCUs.
With your support, with your generosity, with your love, with your financial commitment, we can help so many more students at HBCUs.
So our goals are within reach, and with your help, we'll help one student at a time, one HBCU at a time, to realize not only the brilliance of our students, but the commitment of our community. So please join us in helping our HBCUs through the Williams Franklin Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I could watch that video every morning as just part of a ritual to get myself going and up and active and intentional for the day. So now we're getting ready for the fun part, the actual raising of the money. The chat is open. I think I hear that things are already happening in the chat. I can't tell you how inspired I've been by Dwight and Lachelle, because you kind of know because they're here, but they are incredibly inspirational. And I want you to meet personally Brian Terry from Nordic Naturals, who has, as I've said, agreed to donate dollar for dollar, everything up to $5,000 today. And if you were inspired by these students, I want you to be inspired by Brian. Brian, question. Why did you jump in and get so involved, and what inspired you?
When I think about my college experience at Xavier University, what it meant to me, what this would have meant to me, I was unaware of the natural products industry. I went through the typical corporate route with the top 50 company, and I thought that was the traditional path. And as I got in this industry and saw so many opportunities and jobs, but not that many people that looked like me, I wanted to A, drive awareness, but B, also find ways to help people that were similar to me and my background at that time. Nordic Naturals has been a huge supporter of all things diversity. We have a big mantra about diversity, helping to build trust, making the world a healthier, happier place, and helping to reduce fear and hatred across people. And for me, being able to go to Expo West and 5 years from now, 10 years from now, seeing these future leaders, future scholars, gonna mean it, show the impact to me. And it's something in which I feel that we can have a strong impact, because there's all statistics show that businesses are better when they're more diverse. And I feel like the opening awareness of this industry is the first step to making that happen.
Yeah, there's just been so much inspiration, so much hope, and so much love that's really been generated from these conversations today. I mean, I can't imagine, our industry is so well poised to do that, right? So, yeah. Those of us who are on this side of the camera don't have access to the chat. So, would you please drop $1,000 in for me on a pledge? And somebody send me a note about how far along we are. I mean, this is incredible. Dwight and Lachelle, I'm kind of curious, one, how you feel about this, and two, if you've like had some other things come directly into you that we might not know about, we need to put in the chat so we can start to total things up.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're just overwhelmed by the level of support and commitment that the Organic and Natural Association has shown to the Williams Franklin Foundation. And I say that with all sincerity because, attending an HBCU, both Dwight and I, we know and we see the importance of getting an HBCU education and the excellence that just exudes from all of the HBCUs. And so this really gives us another opportunity to really showcase that excellence, as you all have seen today through some of our scholars, past and current scholars. That's actually a part of our mission, in fact, is not only to provide scholarships, but also to broadcast and showcase the talent that comes from HBCUs. Because as Brian said, I think having a diverse work environment, clearly in the world, you do see that there's more tolerance, there's more understanding, and we can get so much farther together than apart. So we're just so thankful for all that have contributed so far, and all that will continue to do so. And I kind of have I know that we have a few that have donated already, which I'll just name Paul Mittman, Daniel Minelli, Rakesh Amin, Scott Steinford, and Ben Teager. So far that we know of. So I'm sure there are more rolling in. So we just thank you all who have contributed and plan to contribute. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. And I just want to add to it that, and Brian, with your organization, thank you so much for matching dollar for dollar. That's unbelievable. This is the first time we've actually had anyone do that. So, it's really just awe-inspiring. And I want to tell Amber and Christina, I know she's gone, and Virgil, you guys got to stop making us cry. Man. That's just not good. That's not a good look for a grown man of my stature. Okay.
Anything. I didn't even get into anything. I just answered questions. I didn't even say anything.
But I tell you, this has been an amazing ride. And Karen, thank you so very, very much for the level of support that you provided to us.
It is only the beginning. I just want to say, we can do this with Brian's help this time. It's been fantastic. I've just been thrilled. I've always been a big fan of Nordic Naturals anyway. Now I get to be a big fan of Brian. So that's really wonderful. I know we have other donations coming in. I know CRN is donating $1,000 and Steve Mister himself is donating, I believe it's $500. I also know that Mercola is donating $1,000, but I don't have a total, so I don't know where we were. I just want to know that you owe us $5,000, I'm sure, right, Brian?
Well, when I think about that, it makes me happy. And for me, what HBCUs represented for me were education, pride, self-confidence, leadership, and then finally what this is community involvement. And that to me is kind of the 5 pillars of what going to an HBCU represented to me. And I want that to permeate throughout the industry.
Right.
Let's do it.
I appreciate you saying that. And then also, helping HBCUs, some people assume that you have to look like us in order to care or support our efforts. And the reality is, by helping HBCUs, it really helps the world. Because again, as you could see in what was demonstrated today through Amber, Christina, and Virgil, there's so much talent sitting right there who are just waiting to be immersed upon the world. And so they just need a little help, just like I did, which is where my story originates and the whole beginning of our foundation, because I was a student much like Virgil, Amber, and Christina, who came from, meager means, didn't have a way to get through college, but it was from the generosity of just one person that made such a huge difference. He has no idea how big of a difference he made. And that's the difference that just one person can make, which is why I feel strongly it only takes one to make a big difference.
Imagine now with just these 3 incredible people that we've been able to hear from today, what they are going to do in the world.
That's
and
right.
imagine
That's right.
3 of those people coming into our industry and being able to literally change the world anytime.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, because we have several more.
We have about 50 more. So it's there.
So what will $20,000 mean for the fund?
What would it mean? Wow.
Yeah, what do it mean? What does it mean? What is the result?
It means scholarships. It means continuing education. It means support. We also provide a lot of support outside of the scholarship. So we provide programming throughout the year, webinars, networking events, and sometimes students. For example, when coronavirus hit, nobody knew it was coming. So we helped some students who all of a sudden had to move out of their dorms, didn't have the money to move out, and put their belongings into storage or going back to school, working remotely, didn't have laptops. So we secured laptops for them. So there's a lot of things that we do to help make sure that our kids can matriculate and graduate to the best of our ability. So the more money,
Debt-free.
and like Christina said, and Virgil and Amber know, debt-free. And we all know as adults, right, that having no or very little educational debt, it can transform your entire future as an adult. And so your money, your dollars, your donations are going to help that. They're going to help the future of our society, of our culture, of America and the world, because they are going to be global. A lot of these kids have traveled across continents, have seen a lot more than I've seen in my life, which is pretty amazing. And I'm just excited to see these young smiling faces, and they just give me hope for the future. So thank you everyone out there who is donating. I mean, you just don't know how much of an impact you're having on these people. It's phenomenal.
We're just getting started. Next is paid internships, job fairs. We're going to go all the way, right, for sure.
Perfect.
All right. Being advised, it's time to wrap up this part of it. Please continue to use the chat while we do this. And somebody thought it was a good idea for me to explain to you how we're going to move into individual Zoom rooms. So once our host sets up the breakout rooms, you'll see an invitation to join, which you click. And then you can click the breakout rooms. If you have help, just ask in your meeting controls. That's the secret to that. And you can switch breakout rooms. So you can, there's going to be an icon in your meeting controls, and it'll give you a list of the breakout rooms. And I think it'll be identified by each host. So you'll be able to, if you want to go around and meet everybody, that's the whole idea. And just continue to do that until we close in a half an hour. And with that, I believe I can say thank you. I wish I had a total for you, but I don't. And we'll be back in touch with all of you to let you know. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I know everybody is inundated with Zooms and overwhelmed, and I can't thank enough for Informa's expertise and, of course, the foundation and the scholars. It's been a lot of fun, and I made it without tears.